Ladies and boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the markets, right? The markets in general, of course, only the crypto markets because that is what we cover. But look, man, right? According to global liquidity, we know if we bring this up right now that we should have been seeing some type of pumps, right? We really should have been seeing some type of pumps according to global liquidity. um Everything was going to plan. We know based off the 91-day delay that when we took the tops to the tops of crypto, it was perfect. When we took the bottoms to the bottoms of crypto, it was perfect for 91 days. Okay, then we had all of this movement over here, right? This was perfect 91 days. This was perfect 91 days. But however, ever since after that, things haven't been aligning the best. Now, I still think, this global liquidity index is still valid, right? It is still valid ultimately. The biggest test will be what happens mid-July, as this is the current top of global liquidity. So if by the time we get to, mid-July and Bitcoin is still not doing that well or just pumps a little bit, then I'm definitely going to be very concerned, unless, of course, the technical analysis shows and indicates something before that would already cause me to think there's going to be some type of reversals in the markets, right? But purely just in terms of the global liquidity, right? Everything was on track until now, because we were supposed to have this big pump, nothing happened. We were supposed to have this great, top over here, nothing happened. And we're kind of heading into this section over here where things are going to be down and slow a little bit over the next 2 weeks, because then we can see again for then 2 weeks after that, there should be some type of pumps. Now, the other good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that the global liquidity is also overall rising. We can see that there are consistent higher lows being formed on the global liquidity, right? Boom, 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 boom. So I expect global liquidity to really explode over the next few short weeks, which is still what we love to see, right? Because if global liquidity starts going down in general, then that's really not going to be a great, that's going to be terrible, right? There's no easy way to put it. That is going to be terrible, right? But let's remove this indicator. Let's remove this one. Let's re-add the MA cross with our custom settings. And let's look at the total market cap for crypto. So we can see that we have exploded in 2023 and we held this line fairly well, right? When the orange is above the green, it means we are bullish. When the orange is below the green, it means we are bearish. Now, of course, there's more to that, right? You have to look at context. You have to see how the charts are closing. We could see clearly here in terms of the weeklies, right? We had bottoms here, but we had consistent higher and higher lows for the weekly closes, but yet the orange line was still below the green, which is why I don't live and die by the indicator. This is just something for you guys to see, and just, it's a very simple concept to understand. Overall, when we are on the weekly, right, we are still very bullish on the higher time frame. However, when we go to the daily, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that the orange line is about to cross the green line. Now, we did have a moment where the orange line crossed the green line just for a day, and then after that, it went very nicely up. So of course, just because we're getting close, it doesn't mean it's automatically, oh my God, reversals. Just because it does close or start crossing below the green line, doesn't mean right away it's death, right? I will say though, the last few days have been extremely weak, right? They have been extremely weak. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, something like this has happened multiple times in the past, where we have a nice type of pump, then we start selling off slowly, things don't look healthy, and all of a sudden we just have a burst to the upside, right? It's happened multiple times. We can see over here, right? It was looking nice. Things selling off. Things are kind of looking slow and sideways, burst to the upside. Okay. So, this is something that I'm not too worried about, because all I know is it takes one nice 4-hour candle to really start changing the momentum. As of right now, if we go look, boom, we can see the 4-hour candles are looking nice. We are creating higher and higher lows, but we are kind of coming at a stalemate. So we're going to have to make a decision soon, right? We're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to go up or are we going to go down? I overall am still very bullish for crypto in general. The only annoying thing is obviously what's happening with the wars, right? Obviously, just purely speaking from a financial standpoint and nothing else, it is very, very dreadful for a war to be happening, or even the potentials of, World War III, right? That is not ideal for the crypto markets. Even though I know crypto has a very, very bright future, I know Bitcoin has a very, very bright future, these are still technically considered high risk assets. So when something's considered a high risk asset and there's potential war or war tensions, usually things like this take a big hit. Okay. As of right now, gold is the safe haven, right? That's always been the thing. And even though Bitcoin is the digital gold, Bitcoin still has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to, having that authenticity, right? Being approved by the big boys that it is the official safe haven. Because even though we, the people, might see it as that, and we, the people, are many years ahead, it still doesn't mean that something like Bitcoin won't be taking hits during war tensions just because the political leaders don't necessarily see, Bitcoin as a safe haven. Okay. So look, we can see gold has really shot up on Friday, right? Went from 3,380 all the way up to 3,450. All right, I expect gold to continue to be going up as long as there are war tensions, because that is just how life works. Now, obviously, that might mean Bitcoin might take a hit, but we will monitor the price action. We'll monitor what is happening with the wars. And yeah, as of right now, in terms of altcoin season and everything else, ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin dominance is still looking to be pushing higher highs, even though it dipped at one point. Overall, it's still looking very, very nice, right? The dailies are continuously printing higher highs, continuously. And until we get a huge break of structure, like a big one by a couple percent, and then struggle, there's zero confirmations of altcoin season happening yet. Okay. We still think that we're most likely going to be going up to the 70%, upwards of 74% before we get a big crash. Now, like I said, just because we get to 70%, that doesn't mean automatically it's going to crash down, right? We need confirmation. Ultimately, I don't care about getting it right, whether it's 69%, 70, 72, 74%, doesn't matter, right? What I'm waiting for is this certain type of move to get that confirmation. When we go to the others chart, we can see that the others dominance is continuously going down, surely but slowly, right? Or slowly but surely. And I still expect it to hit probably roughly around 6.50%, as I still expect Bitcoin dominance to have a spike up. So this spiking down would make sense. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy this. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community. Sell and buy calls and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should have, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.